Hello everyone, hope you're having a good day. Today I'm going to be making curry pan, which is something I had when I was living in Japan, so I thought I'd show you all how to make it. This recipe is based on the donut recipe which I've made before on the channel. So to start we're going to make the Tangzhong, and to do this we're going to mix 20 grams of strong bread flour with 100 grams of milk, and then just heat this over a low heat until it becomes thick and elastic. This helps make our donut softer and fluffier. Once the Tangzhong's finished, you can see the consistency here that you should look for. I'm just going to place it into a bowl and pop it in the fridge to chill until we're ready to use it later on. In a separate jug, I'm mixing together 100 grams of lukewarm milk with 1.5 teaspoons of instant yeast. I then whisk everything together and set it to the side for about 5 minutes to activate. I'm now going to mix together the dry ingredients. So here we've got 265 grams of bread flour. We're going to add 30 grams of caster sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and then I just mix everything together to thoroughly combine it. Here we've got the chilled Tangzhong. I'm going to add the milk and yeast mixture to that, along with 1 small egg, and then I'm whisking it together. This is primarily to break up the Tangzhong, because otherwise it'd be kind of lumpy. So just whisk this all together until it becomes nice and smooth. We're nearly there now, so here I'm adding 30 grams of melted unsalted butter to the dry ingredients, just giving that a quick mix, and then adding in our Tangzhong, egg and milk mixture, and then roughly combine everything in this bowl, and then tip it out onto a work surface and properly start to knead it. So you can see here it's kind of sticky, it's sticking to the table, sticking to my hands a little bit, and it's lumpy and not very uniform. You can see it breaks when I try to pull it apart, and you can see it really sticks to the table here. So we're just going to keep working it until it becomes nice and elastic, and you can see the complete change there. So much smoother, so much more elastic, very supple, and it's nice and stretchy. This is the key step. You want to make sure that you take your time for this and knead it properly. When you get to that stage, just pop it into a bowl, cover it with cling film, and then set it into a warm place to prove until doubled in size. Now for the filling, you can be quite creative, mix in whatever spices you want, but I'll just show you what I did. So I've got a large pan over medium heat. I added about a tablespoon of vegetable oil, 1 chopped onion, and a sprinkling of salt. I browned it off and caramelized everything, and then added in 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds. Just mixed that together, allowed them to toast slightly, and then added in about 2 tablespoons of curry powder, between 1.5 and 2 tablespoons of curry powder, which is our main flavour for the sauce. I then added in 1 cup of water, and then 1 tablespoon of cornstarch dissolved in 2 tablespoons of water. This is going to help thicken the sauce, make it a bit shiny and glossy. I thought the sauce was looking a bit too brown at this point, so I also added in 1 tablespoon of turmeric, and then another cup of water because it was a bit too thick. After simmering on a low heat for about 5 minutes, it was ready for the vegetables, which in this case I used 2 carrots and 2 potatoes, just chopped up into small pieces and boiled till they're tender. I gave everything 1 more mix to combine it thoroughly, and then simmered it for about 5 minutes, and this is what it looked like at the end. The dough is doubled in size, you can see here, so I knocked it down and then split it into 4 portions. So my donuts were actually a bit too big, so you might want to do less than this. But for me, the whole batch of dough weighed 500 grams, so each of these balls is 125 grams. But I'd probably recommend going for like 75 grams, or even half, so like 62-ish grams. That'd probably work out quite well. And then we're just going to give these 1 more shape and do a little proof before we fill them. So to do this, I'm just flattening them out, knocking some of the air out of it, and then folding it in on itself, kind of going around in a circle, bringing all the points to the centre, then I turn it over and just give it a little roll to make it a bit rounder. We're going to prove these underneath some cling film and a tea towel for about 30 minutes to an hour until they've puffed up a little bit. Not doubled in size, but just puffed up. Okay, so to fill these, there's a bit of a technique to this, so just practice and you'll eventually get it. So I'm going to flatten the dough out first into a circle, pressing it down, and then this step here is pretty important, just give it a stretch. This is going to make it slightly longer in one direction, so we get that nice kind of oval shape. I'm then going to fill it with a generous amount of curry, but not too much, because otherwise you won't be able to fill it up. And then pinch together the ends. One thing I would change here is actually possibly egg washing 1/2, because mine kind of split open a little bit as I was frying them. It still was okay, it wasn't a complete tragedy, but if you egg wash one side it might make it stick together better, and it'll hold up better when you're frying it. So I just pinched together the ends, almost like making a Cornish pasty, gave it a roll around, and kind of got it to the shape I wanted. And after leaving it for 5 or 10 minutes or so, that seam does become a lot more seamless. It does stick together, but the egg wash would help. So now we're ready to finally coat them. You can see I've got a few more on the left that I've finished. It took me a while to get this process right, so this is the third attempt. I think I nailed it. So I've got a large container with some beaten up egg. Just dropping the curry pan into there. And then I've got a bed of panko breadcrumbs. Now panko is pretty important to use. You could just use normal breadcrumbs, but panko has a specific shape to it. It just looks nicer and it's kind of really flaky and crunchy. So yeah, I'd highly recommend using panko if you can get hold of it. So to fry these, I've got some vegetable oil at about 150 degrees. My Dutch oven's a bit small and this probably isn't the safest way to fry your stuff, so maybe use a bigger pan and kind of a ladle to drop it in. But yeah, just you want it hot enough that it bubbles as soon as the bread goes in. And I'm kind of just drenching it with oil to try and help that seam stick before it gets flipped over, because I didn't want everything to fall out of the bottom. But it actually was okay in the end. So you're just frying this until it becomes nice and golden. The donut will puff up quite a lot, almost double in size I think, in terms of thickness. It does get really big, so just be mindful of that. And then when it's all the way done, you can see that seam on the top. It didn't open up all the way, which was good. You're just going to take it out with a pair of tongs and then put it onto a draining board. So I just had a chopping board with some paper towel on it that just allows the oil to drain off. So I'll cut this open to show you what the inside looks like. The dough is nice and fluffy. It wasn't undercooked at all. Considering how big it was, I thought that might be a problem, but no, perfectly cooked. A bit of B-roll, so the Joshua Weissman style B-roll. Up close and personal with them panko breadcrumbs. I think they look good. I was really pleased with these in the end. So the shot again from the start, Pepper the dog was eyeing these up. I never take pictures outside, but I thought I'd just try it one time, and I think it looks better outside. The natural lighting kind of shows off the food better. And then we have the final shots. The dog didn't eat these, we did eat them, and they were pretty good. My parents said this is their favourite recipe that I've done, so that was a good one. But I hope you all enjoyed this video as well, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.